he gives us a commandment. You write that on that line there. And number 2, he gives us a commission. A commandment and a commission. And so we get this in the Bible. So now we'll go to the next one. Here it is, the greatest commandments. He's asked the question. This fellow comes to Jesus and he said, you know, there's hundreds of commandments, but there's particularly 10 back there in the first 5 books of the Bible. Which is the greatest? And Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. That's total, isn't it? Yeah. Then he said, the second is like this: love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. And so that's important. Jesus says this is the summary of the commandments. Now he says, right at the end of his ministry, just before he ascends, in Matthew 28, he says to them, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Now you've got those printed out there. And so that passage in Matthew 28, what I want you to do is circle the words. We go to the next one. Circle the words, make disciples. Not going to give you an English lesson here tonight, but when you're translating something from Greek into English, sometimes there's a couple of things that we just need explaining. And this is one of those verses. You know, if we sit there and look at that with our English mindset, we would think the command, the doing word or the verb, is the word go. But actually, when you look at the Greek, it's a participle, and it probably could be better translated as you are going. And so it's not a command. Actually, the command is, in blue, make disciples. And many of you have heard that. Doesn't have to hurt to have a little bit of revision here tonight. So circle, make disciples. That's the key word. So what he then does, he links these 2 together, the Great Commandment and the Great Commission. He links them together in John 13, 34 and 35. And he says, here's a new one. Love one another. He's pulling out of the second of the greatest command, of the great commandments, you know, love your neighbour as yourself. He's saying, love one another as I have loved you. So here's the vertical connection. As I have loved you, you love one another. There's the great commandment. Then he says, by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another, if you love one another. See how he's bringing the 2 together? He's saying, great commandment, love God with everything. Love your neighbour, that's the horizontal. Go make disciples out of the love that I put in your heart.